Well, welcome to Pints and Politics. I'm your host, Dan Parsons. As you know, Pints and Politics is an interactive video, audio celebration of everything pints with beer and politics. Each episode we ask our guests to talk about politics, but we do it while enjoying either craft beer or a locally sourced craft cocktail. And we try to do it, politics, in a way that all of us can maybe enjoy a little bit more these days. So today is a special Thanksgiving celebration, and I have no guests other than some friends that are going to help me taste some cocktails. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And tonight's topic, we're going to talk about the top 5 things to talk about on Thursday at Thanksgiving dinner that's not politics. So if that's of help to you, pull up a bar stool and enjoy these next few minutes. So, number one, and let me introduce a couple of guests that claim they're not going to talk because they're also behind the scenes typically. So Kim Remington is the operations manager for Parsons Public Relations, and Kathy Plunkett from Kathy Plunkett Photography is responsible for all the beautiful photographs you've seen through the years. And so I've asked them to be in our audience tonight and enjoy a cocktail that we're going to mix in a few minutes. So 5 things to talk about at Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday, other than politics and probably religion and, other things that are not probably appropriate. So here's some ideas for you. It's easy to talk about the weather, right? And apparently there's a snowstorm coming, so that'll be easy to talk with your guests about. You've also always have Husker football you can talk about with the Iowa game the next day on Friday. So there's kind of the low-hanging fruit for you to do on Thursday. The second suggestion, after you get through those easy topics, is talk about pints. Talk about your favorite craft beer. Talk about your favorite wine that's being served with your Thanksgiving dinner. Or if you're fortunate to have a bartender, or if you are a bartender, you can talk about a craft cocktail. So to help you out, let's take a break, and I'm going to mix one of my favorite cocktails, especially during the winter time. And if you saw and listened to the last episode last month, we also enjoyed the same cocktail. But as producer and videographer Steve reminded me, we didn't get a description of the cocktail. So we're going to make an old-fashioned. So bear with me as I show how I make an old-fashioned, and as I like to say, I make an old-fashioned the old-fashioned way. So you need some oranges, and if you quarter a few oranges, like such, maybe even like this. So we're going to have some juice that we're going to muddle. So take probably the juice of, man, I'm going to squirt, hope I didn't squirt you, Kim. A juice of at least a half an orange. And please, as you listen and interact with the podcast this week, please let me know what your favorite drink is. What wine are you serving on Thanksgiving? I'd be interested to know. So there's about 1 orange, and so we're using one of my favorite whiskeys, a Woodford Reserved Kentucky Bourbon, which I got from N Street on O Street. And so probably a couple shots. of whiskey. We have the orange juice. Bitters. This is a orange bitter, which I really enjoy for an old-fashioned. Just maybe 4 or 5 drops of bitters. A teaspoon of sugar, more or less, as you desire. A Marciano cherry, and a little bit of that cherry juice as well. And that's it. We're going to muddle throw in a couple of more oranges. So the juice of 1 orange, a quarter of another orange, and we're just going to muddle that for a few minutes. And I like to use ice molds. This happens to be a square ice mold. Let's put another slice of orange, another cherry, and there you go. Kim, what do you think?
Cheers. Oh.
Not bad?
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, so that's our old fashioned, and feel free to send us what you're drinking for Thanksgiving dinner. And feel free to use what you're drinking in discussion of pints and wine and cocktails as a topic of discussion around the dinner table instead of politics. Okay, number 3 suggestion for what you can talk about at Thanksgiving dinner that's not politics. Puppies. Who doesn't like to talk about puppies, right? Talk about your new puppy, talk about your new kitten. There's obviously plenty of kitten and puppy videos on the internet that you can pass around the table. Everybody loves animals. Talk about puppies or kittens. Okay. Number 4. What are you watching on Netflix, right? Or Hulu or Disney? Is that really Baby Yoda? How much did John Lithgow get paid to play Winston Churchill in The Crown for 15 minutes in episode 3? You know, those are some interesting topics that you can talk about around the Thanksgiving dinner table instead of politics. Here's another idea. I lost track. Is this 4 or 5? What was your first, fill in the blank, depending on the appropriateness of your audience, but what was your first job? You know, ask Grandpa what his first job was. That might be entertaining. Your first alcoholic drink. I think mine was a crappy, warm Budweiser. Or if you really want to be risque, start a conversation around the table. Who was your first kiss? That's much more entertaining than any political discussion you could possibly have. So if none of those ideas work, and crazy Uncle Fred insists on talking about impeachment, then make a beeline to the kitchen and start washing dishes. That's my final recommendation of how you can have a successful Thanksgiving and not talk about politics. But please tune in next month for another edition of Pints and Politics, where we will be talking about politics and we will be having a drink, the best way to talk about politics. And so thanks for joining us for this special Thanksgiving edition of Pints and Politics. And so thanks to all of our crew. Thanks to Jack Rodenberg for our theme music. And Jack, I have to apologize because the last episode I thanked your brother, Max, for producing the music. And Max is a lawyer. He's not a musician. So Jack, thanks for producing the music. Thanks to Fuse Co-working for this beautiful space, and Parsons Public Relations as our sponsor. Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next month.